but everybody was waiting around for that quarterback position to be taken off the board and added to the Pittsburgh Steelers roster, and they did it, but they waited as long as they possibly could. The 6th round in the NFL draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers stood on the board. They wasted no time. They took Will Howard out of Ohio State, and everybody immediately said that was the guy. That was the guy everybody wanted. It was a name on the board throughout the NFL draft that I think many hoped the Pittsburgh Steelers would somehow walk away with, that they anticipated would walk away with by the end of the draft. But many, like myself, saw Will Howard as a 3rd, maybe a 4th, maybe at the worst case scenario, a 5th round pick in the NFL draft. There was no way he was dropping to 6th. Well, I asked Omar Khan after the draft, I said, did you imagine that the quarterback was going to shake out the way that it did in this draft class? And he said, I mean, we just kind of took it as it came. We looked at quarterback along with every other position and said, these things are shaking out weird, but they're working in our favor. And we landed the quarterback that we saw fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, before I dive into Will Howard too far, for those of you who have not seen, Mike Sullivan and the Pittsburgh Penguins have agreed to part ways, which is massive, absolutely massive. But that's one Pittsburgh Steelers organization, or Pittsburgh organization, excuse me. The Pittsburgh Steelers, well, they're another, and they're focused on Will Howard. Will Will Howard ever become the champion quarterback in the NFL as a starter that he did at Ohio State? So I want to start with the good about Will Howard, because there is a lot of good. This dude's mentally very, very tough, which the Pittsburgh Steelers praised about Shedeur Sanders. I mean, Mel Kiper Jr. almost passed out on stage multiple times in a 3-day span for how aggressively he was hammering that Shedeur Sanders is a tough guy, tough quarterback, that he is just full of toughness. Will Howard's pretty tough himself. He's a dude that could take a blow. He's a dude who's a quality leader. I've spoken to as many people as I could over the last, day and a half, and that's the notion that you get. Will Howard, good dude, great leader, quality teammate, a dude who's going to do what it takes to win a football game. Awesome. Those are the qualities you're looking for in a quarterback, no matter when you draft them. And it certainly helps to get a guy in the 6th round that you look at and say, this dude could eventually become a leader of a franchise. That if you ask John Gruden, this dude's a stud. This dude's the best quarterback in the draft. He said it's his favorite quarterback in the NFL draft, compared him to Josh Allen. I don't know if Will Howard ever reaches Josh Allen level. I don't think he ever gets to be MVP. I'm not totally sold on that. But what I do like about Will Howard is he is exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers were looking for heading into the 2025 NFL draft. What they wanted in this year's draft class was not to go out and get the franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to take care of that next year. What they're looking for is next year, when they do draft a 1st-round quarterback, or they do land somebody big somewhere, somehow, they have competition. They have a guy that they fully believe in, who they look at and say, in a year, this dude can be the guy if we give him an opportunity. That this dude can compete with whoever we bring in and potentially earn a starting job over a much bigger name than his own. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers were looking for. And that's what they got, because that's who Will Howard is. Will Howard's a dude who has the mobility that the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for, that processes the field pretty well, that has a huge arm, that could make the throws. Will Howard's issues are the fact that Will Howard did not really have the big giant success until he came to Ohio State. He was not like the dude who made the crazy flashy passes and won big crazy games and could put a team on his back and do everything around them and be the reason that they won. He's never been that guy. And by the time he got to Ohio State and could play his best football, well, he's playing with the best offense in college football by a mile. I mean, you walk into there with Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, Quinshon Judkins, and Trey Henderson, plus a phenomenal offensive line and a ridiculous defense and a pretty good head coach. I mean, you're playing on easy mode in college football. That's what you're doing. I'm not saying that that's a downgrade to him. I'm not even saying that hammers his chances or hurts his chances to succeed in the NFL. I'm just saying that why was Will Howard questioned? That's why. That's why Will Howard was never considered a first-round pick, because by the time he played his best football, the Pittsburgh Steelers and everybody else were looking at it going, yeah, dude, this team's ridiculous. It's the best team in college football by far. Obviously, everybody's going to look really good on it. I look at Will Howard as a guy that if he can grow, take this in stride and say, there is no chance that I'm going to be a long-term backup, I think there's a chance he's not a long-term backup. I think there's a real quality chance that the Pittsburgh Steelers have found somebody that eventually grows into a starter. That's not him today, and I do not anticipate Will Howard walks into 2025 as the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't imagine he beats out Mason Rudolph for the number 2 spot on the depth chart. But I do think in a year from now, Will Howard learning from Mason Rudolph, learning from Tom Arth, probably learning from Aaron Rodgers, and takes everything in stride because that's who he is. He's a kid that's very intelligent, what stands out so much about Will Howard is his ability to continue to grow. And he's going to get the opportunity to do so in Pittsburgh. That means in a year from now, when they end up with Drew Aller or Garrett Newsom or whoever, that they're looking at it going, well, we have a first-round quarterback, but we also got Will Howard, and we're going to make sure that the best quarterback that we have is the one that's starting in week 1. I think that's huge. I love the Will Howard pick. I wouldn't mind it in the 4th. I thought it was a quality pick in the 4th round. I thought it was an even better pick in the 5th round. By the time the Steelers got to the 6th round and they were still haven't picked a quarterback and Will Howard was very clearly going to be the guy, steal. Absolute steal for everybody involved. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers got a guy. Will Howard told me, hey, I didn't care when I went. It was about who I went to, and I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers were the best team that I could have ended up at. He's a PA kid. I get it. It's out towards Philly, but he's a PA kid, man. And you got to love it. I love the Will Howard move. My guess is still Aaron Rodgers signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the next week or two. That's how I'm looking at it. I think before OTAs, all the signs are on the wall right now. They didn't go out and get a starting quarterback. Art Rooney said that he thinks that it's coming soon. Mike Tomlin pretty much said, everybody calm down. It's going to happen. He went on NFL Network and was blatantly asked, hey, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers? And he said, look, I don't have an update right now, but we're having pretty good conversations. And I think the fan base just needs to chill. That's what he said. It's essentially what he said. I would guess Aaron Rodgers is here before OTA starts to just say, hey, I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. We're here. We're going to win. Will Howard's going to be the guy that behind him gets to learn. And I think that's massive for both Will Howard and the Pittsburgh Steelers and gives them another option. I love a quarterback room of Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and I guess Skylar Thompson, who's probably not going to make the roster, but that is a quality 3. Plus, I mean, Cleveland's got to cut somebody. So if you need another quarterback, you could go get one because Cleveland's getting rid of somebody. They're not keeping Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel. That ain't happening. Somebody's got to go. My guess is maybe it's Dylan Gabriel. Maybe it's Shedeur Sanders. Maybe it's Joe Flacco. But if the Pittsburgh Steelers want options, they're there. And in the words of Juju Smith-Schuster, man, the Browns be the Browns. Now, why did the Steelers not get Shedeur? It's easy. I said this on Saturday. I'll say it again real quick. They didn't get Shedeur Sanders because, like the rest of the league, and I think the Cleveland Browns included, they looked at him and said, this is a backup quarterback that comes with so much noise that he's not worth it. It's the Tim Tebow effect. It's the Johnny Manziel effect. These guys are much louder, and they bring much more distraction than you want for a backup quarterback. The Steelers weren't looking for that. Will Howard puts his head down. He gets to work. I love that about him. I think Will Howard's a great option to have for the Pittsburgh Steelers, better option to have if the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking to execute their plan, which has been the same the entire time. Sorry, camera's going to die. And that is that they are looking to have competition a year from now, that they want this quarterback to grow to potentially be the starter next year, but compete to have options. executed perfectly.